Summer isn't a magical cure for the pace of modern life. I wish it were. But summer does offer something precious: renewal. Renewal is doing what helps us become more whole. When the world throws us curveball after curveball, we're guided by compassion, dignity, justice, excellence, and integrity. Those aren't decorative words, they're the compass. And in a disorienting world, we all need a compass. Welcome to Walk the Walk, where we go beyond talking the talk. I'm Scott McLarty, head of Providence High School in Burbank, California, and in this show, we talk out of school about growing up and being a grown-up, about learning and leading for a better world. Let's get into it. Can you feel it? The end of the school year is not just an ending. It rarely is. It's a strange mix of exhaustion, gratitude, relief, celebration, nostalgia, and that slightly disorienting feeling that comes when you realize something's over before you were quite ready. Students feel it, parents feel it, teachers definitely feel it, administrators feel it too. This time of year is a threshold. We're standing between what has been and what is coming next. That word, threshold, has been on my mind lately. A threshold is not simply a boundary. It's something we cross. It is the space between rooms, between seasons, between one version of ourselves and another. We pause there, we look back, we look ahead, we take a breath. Then, if we are ready, or even if we're not, we step forward. This whole first season of Walk the Walk has been about learning how to step forward into a world that does not always give us clear directions or clear boundaries. We started with VUCA: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Then we added BANI: brittle, anxious, nonlinear, and incomprehensible. These aren't exactly words you want embroidered on a throw pillow, but these words helped us name something many of us already feel. The world is changing quickly. Institutions feel fragile. Anxiety is everywhere. Problems don't unfold in straight lines. And sometimes the events shaping our lives feel too big, too strange, or too tangled to fully understand. That's the world our students are inheriting. And more importantly, it's the world they will help shape. One of the central questions of Walk the Walk has been simple. What kind of leadership does this moment require? Not leadership as a title, not leadership as being in charge or having all the answers, because if that's the job description, most of us would resign immediately and quietly move to a cabin somewhere with good coffee and no Wi-Fi. That's what I would do. Leadership in a VUCA and BANI world is something much deeper and more interesting. It's the ability to ground ourselves when the world feels volatile. It's the courage to get curious when the future is uncertain. It's the humility to seek wisdom when problems are complex. It's the maturity to welcome paradox when life is ambiguous. It's the work of staying connected when everything feels so brittle. It's the commitment to build resilience when faced with the anxiety of others. It is the willingness to be agile when the world throws us curveball after curveball. And it is the spiritual capacity to embrace mystery when the world feels incomprehensible. It's not a bad leadership curriculum. It's also not a bad parenting curriculum, teaching curriculum, board curriculum, or just being a human being curriculum. At Providence, this matters because leadership is not separate from our mission. We are called to be expressions of God's healing love, steadfast in serving all, especially those who are poor and vulnerable. We're guided by compassion, dignity, justice, excellence, and integrity. Those aren't decorative words, they're the compass. And in a disorienting world, the old maps are useless. We all need a compass. This year, Walk the Walk has been my attempt to think out loud with you about what it means to lead, learn, parent, teach, and live with that compass in hand. Not perfectly, not with false certainty, but with openness, courage, and a stubborn willingness to keep walking. Summer isn't a magical cure for the pace of modern life. I wish it were. I would pay good money for a summer that automatically cleaned my inbox, completed all household projects, taught my children to put shoes in the same place twice, and restored my soul by August. But summer does offer something precious. It gives us a change of rhythm, and rhythm matters. We spend so much of the school year responding to assignments, practices, meetings, deadlines, traffic, Emails, group texts, college lists, permission slips, calendar changes, and the mysterious constant disappearance of water bottles. Summer gives us a chance to practice something else. Renewal. Renewal's not doing nothing, although sometimes nothing is precisely what the moment calls for. Renewal is doing what helps us become more whole. So here's my simple invitation for the summer. First, recover your attention. Attention may be one of the most important human capacities we have. What we pay attention to shapes who we become. And most of us have spent the last 10 months paying attention to a lot. Some of it mattered deeply, some of it was necessary, some of it was noise dressed up as urgency. This summer, reclaim some attention. Let's assert some agency over our attention. Take walks without immediately putting in earbuds. Sit at dinner with your phone out of reach. Read something slowly. Watch your kids do something ordinary and wonderful. Notice the light in the evening. Pray, breathe, cook, listen. Be bored long enough for your mind to remember that it has its own inner life. This is not anti-technology, it's pro-human. Second, read, listen, and wander. I love a good summer reading list, but I also love reading widely, wandering through ideas, letting one book or article lead to another, following curiosity without needing every minute to be productive. I want the joy of reading widely this summer. Leadership, history, psychology, food, artificial intelligence, of course, memoirs, fiction, and yes, even cookbooks, because cookbooks absolutely count as books. This summer, read something that stretches you, read something that delights you, read something that has nothing to do with work. Listen to a podcast that makes you think differently, revisit an old book, ask your child what they're reading and let them explain it to you. Curiosity is not a school year skill, it's a life skill. Third, practice good questions. A VUCA and BANI world rewards people who can ask better questions. Now, I know we're all told when we're in school, there are no bad questions. I got to break it to you, I don't think that's true for adults. Some questions are definitely better than others. They're more relevant, more probing, more interesting, or simply more fitting for the moment. Questions like, what am I assuming? Who's missing from this conversation? What does this situation require of me? What could courage look like here? What might compassion look like in this moment? What would I do if I were less afraid? What am I called to notice? These are leadership questions. They're also just deeply human questions. And they're the kind of questions our students need to practice because the future will not simply reward those who can find answers quickly. Answers are becoming very easy to generate. The harder task is learning which questions are worth asking in the first place. Fourth, make room for joy. This one may sound less serious, but I'm increasingly convinced it's essential. Joy is not a distraction from the work of forming young people. Joy is part of the work. Play matters, laughter matters, shared meals matter, friendship, music, being outside, rest, wonder. In a world that can feel brittle and anxious, joy is not frivolous, it's resistance. It reminds us that human flourishing is not the same thing as productivity. It reminds us that our children are not projects and we are not machines. Which brings me to where we're going next. This year, we spent a lot of time thinking about leadership in a changing world. Next fall, we're going to take that conversation into one of the most important forces shaping that world, artificial intelligence. And surprise, surprise, we're going to ask deeper questions. What is intelligence? What is wisdom? What is consciousness, and are conscious machines possible? What does it mean to be human in the age of AI? What should be automated? What is sacred and must be protected? What happens when machines can generate language, images, music, code, essays, lesson plans, emails, prayers, and advice? What happens when young people grow up with tools that can respond instantly, confidently, and fluently, but without consciousness, conscience, or love? And here's the idea that will guide much of the series. The real question is not whether machines will become human. It is whether we will become more machine-like or more fully human. That's where we're headed. Because if we have learned anything from the path we've walked so far, It is that we cannot meet a complex future with shallow thinking. We cannot meet anxiety with panic. We cannot meet uncertainty with false certainty. We cannot meet incomprehension by pretending we understand everything. We need wisdom, courage, and humility. We need each other. And yes, we need good leadership. Before we break for summer, I will set the stage for this conversation about artificial intelligence with 2 episodes to whet your appetite and get you thinking. Then, over the summer, Walk the Walk will shift rhythms. Instead of new weekly reflections like this one, we're going to go to the vault and share some older interviews and conversations I recorded that are still very much worth our time. These conversations still speak to the questions we've been exploring: leadership, parenting, formation, trust, civil dialogue, polarization, intergenerational connection, resilience, and what it means to prepare young people for the world they're actually entering. I hope they give you something good to listen to or watch while walking, driving, working out, cooking, folding laundry, or hiding from your children for a few quiet minutes. No judgment. Summer can be long. Before I sign off, I want to leave us with one simple practice. Once a week this summer, let's take a walk with one question. Not 10, not a to-do list, one question. Maybe, what am I carrying that I need to put down? What did this year teach me? Where do I need to be more courageous? Where could I be more gentle? What does my child need from me right now? What kind of person do I want to become before the next school year begins? Walk with the question. Don't force an answer. Let's allow the question to work on us and keep walking. See you from the vault this summer and back on the road this fall. Thanks for walking the walk with me this year. See you next time. Thank you for joining me on Walk the Walk. Please support us by following, subscribing, and visiting us at providencehigh.org/walkthewalk, where you can sign up for our email list to join the conversation. Thanks again, and see you next time.